Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. Finally got the Cheap Trick live at the Whiskey 1977. Finally came in. I've been listening to this one pretty much nonstop since I got it yesterday. So don't know what the holdup was, but finally got it. So anyway, it's one that I was kind of really looking forward to. I've been a fan of these guys for like as long as I can remember, going way back into my early teens. I actually remember the very first time I heard them. I was in this youth group, and we were having this thing. It was called a rockathon, where we sat in rocking chairs, and we took like pledges to people would pay us a certain amount per hour, however long we rocked in these rocking chairs. It was supposed to go all night long. And a couple of the kids that were in this were a little bit older than me. I think I was in my early teens, 13, 14, somewhere in that ballpark. And one of them brought the Live at Budokan cassette tape, and I remember that being one. I remember Kiss Lick It Up was the other one, but I don't remember what else they brought. But I remember listening to Live at Budokan. I didn't know who it was, and I just was like, man, this band's pretty cool. And the funny thing is, one of the songs that stood out the most to me on that was Come On, Come On. Super short song. I remember that was the reason I bought In Color. So In Color is actually the first album that I bought from Cheap Trick, which is when this came out. It was right when they were recording that, and it actually came out like right before this was released. They were did these series of shows here at the Whiskey, like 4 shows, 2 days. They had an early show, late show each day. In I think it was June of '77, it looks like. So anyway, it's a classic lineup of the band. Got Robin Zander, Rick Nielsen, Tom Peterson, and Bunny Carlos all on this one. And before I get into it, I kind of had like this preconceived conception of what it was going to sound like, because I've seen lots of live stuff from Cheap Trick. I've got a stack of like CDs of Cheap Trick. I really like these guys. I've been collecting them ever since I first heard them, and so I'm kind of used to hearing Rick Nielsen live, and his way of performing over the years, I don't know how to describe it. Has gotten, I don't know if he just doesn't care what he sounds like live. He just seems like he's more about the show a lot, so he just like lets his guitar just like ring out and do whatever bad notes. It doesn't matter to him, which is weird because he's really a good player. He really has the ability to play well, but when he's live, he's just got this attitude like, whatever, it's live, it is what it is. So I was kind of expecting that on this, but quite surprisingly, he's like really tight. In fact, the whole band is like super tight on this. There's not a whole lot of that happening, which I liked, because it's when you're listening to something, it's a little different than being there, experiencing it live. You don't care too much when it's live. Like if things are a little sloppy, when you're listening back, sometimes you want it not that sloppy. That was kind of a bonus. But these guys are kind of like, I don't know how I describe them. I've always thought of them as like punk power pop. I'm not sure if that's what other people classify them as, but they've always been like, they got a punk attitude, like when they're playing, like they're really aggressive a lot. But the power pop, they got the hooks, and Robin Zander can like sing like an angel, and they can also like just scream at times. Their albums are like all over the place, so like a roller coaster ride listening to their stuff. You really never know exactly what you're going to get. Even though you know what you're going to get, you're never really sure exactly what you're going to get. People that follow Cheap Trick probably know what I'm talking about. But on this one, it was kind of cool. Most of the stuff was, from their first album, and they played a few songs from, what was about to be released In Color. And they switched it up a little bit from set to set, which I guess is cool. They didn't play the exact same thing every time, but there's a few songs that showed up on every set, Hello There and Good Night, and it was kind of funny listening to it, because you could tell they were just not really sure what they were going to play, because there's like these long, awkward breaks a couple different times, like every single show, where they really don't know what they're going to say. It's always Rick that's always talking most of the time, I guess, because he's kind of it's weird, because if you ever seen him live, he's like does most of the talking. He's like the front man without being the front man. It's kind of strange, but anyway, that's one thing that I did like about it. The recording of this is like top notch too. It's not like a bootleg. It's not sound like somebody's recorded it on a box at the back of the, the back of the show, just letting it ring out and whatever. It's actually really professionally recorded, and I was impressed about how good the drums sounded. I really took notice of Bunny Carlos. I've heard him 100 times, or more, and I've always thought Bunny was, a great drummer, but man, he really shows off his talents on this one. And his drums are really up front, so it was really easy to notice too. And I was like, wow, he is an amazing drummer. And they have this knack of like being loose but tight when they're drumming, when they're playing, and his drumming has a whole lot to do with that. I really took note of that on these. Some of the highlights, it's kind of funny because Come On these are really short. I don't think they're 2 minutes long on most of these. And they think they play that one almost every. No, they didn't play it in the first one. Actually, they didn't play it in either first one. Early shows, they played it in their second shows. But like I said, there wasn't a whole lot. It's mainly just stuff from their first 2 albums. So there's really not a whole lot to talk about music-wise here. But the performances, it didn't seem to change up. They were tight the first show, and they were just as tight and sounding just as great the last show. So there wasn't anything I noticed like they were getting like weak or tighter or anything like that. And any of the stuff, sometimes after playing 4 sets in a row, pretty much, that's you might hear that. But if you think about it, most bar bands play 4 hours in a row straight, and most of them sound pretty good. So this is like pretty much 4 hours worth of music. Maybe not quite 4 hours worth, but right around 4 hours worth of music. So they, when you're tight and you're young, you can get away with a little bit abusing yourself a little bit more than I think when you get older. So even though I think they still sound great to this day, I think Robin still sings like amazingly to this day. They got a different drummer nowadays. Tom Peterson stepped out for a little bit in the mid '80s there, but they're pretty much the same band. It's Rick's kid playing on drums, so they kept it in the family. They kept it cool. As far as this goes, I would recommend it to any Cheap Trick fan out there. It was great listening to. They're actually thinking about releasing this before they released At Budokan. Of course, when At Budokan came out, that became like the big deal, and this kind of just sat in the back burner, although it's, parts, bits and pieces of it have been released over time. I think they did a live one here a couple years ago. That was one of the shows, or couple of the shows mixed together. I actually don't remember, but I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments on anything that I'm saying wrong about that, but which is fine. That's what the comments are for. That's it. I was really impressed with it. I thought it was going to be more like a bootleg sounding thing, and it ended up sounding great. I actually loved listening to this. It was fun, energetic. I wish that they had released it years ago, but who's going to complain about getting it now? I guess since we've gone like a couple weeks without a whole lot of releases, this is one that's going to be in my disc player for a while, taking turns anyway. Because yes, I love CDs, and I make no apologies about that. I love CDs. So anybody who has the chance to get this, I know it's kind of been I think it's a limited run, but if anybody can get the chance to get it, it really wasn't expensive. It was like $45. I got this one on my own, and just wanted to have it. So anybody who out there who loves Cheap Trick, this is definitely a worthwhile addition to it. Sounds great. It was fun. What more can I say? Feel free to comment on anybody else there who might have picked this up and has a chance to listen to it. Tell me what you think of it, or if anybody out there is looking for it and has any good Cheap Trick stories, feel free to share them down below as well, as always. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff I have to ask for, because it really does help, get this out there. Other people can get in on the discussion. That's what I care about. I like people talking about music. I don't care about anything else. This channel, I really am going for nothing else. Just get people talking about music. That's about it. So anyway, until next time, see you.